we're going to be patient for a few minutes while we're allowing other attendees to come and join our presentation. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to actually attend and have a conversation with us today about Central Coast Community Energy. Hi, everybody. It's just 4 o'clock now, so we're going to wait a moment or two actually while other attendees are actually getting ready to join us. My name is Susan Davison. I am actually a key account specialist with Central Coast Community Energy. I want to thank you for all taking the time to listen to our presentation today. We're going to actually start the presentation in a few minutes, and then at the end of it, we're going to do a Q&A session. So a little bit of housekeeping. As you move your cursor around the screen, you'll see that there's some icons that show up. At the bottom or the top of your screen, you'll see some icons that actually say chat or Q&A. Today, for today's questions, we would actually like to use the Q&A session. That would be great. So feel free to type in there. Those questions actually go to myself, and I'll read them out loud as we go into the Q&A session and answer them in that direction. So everybody can hear, and Jenna can actually talk about how does this all fit together. There's also another icon at the bottom of your screen. It's a chat box. So if you touch that, you'll see that if you click on the chat box, you'll see that I said good afternoon to all of you today. And so you can also use that, but I will continue to work out of the Q&A mostly. So if you like to use the Q&A, that's actually the best place. It allows us to actually then keep it all in one place. Appreciate that. Today, I want to let everybody know that today's webinar is being recorded. We do take the recording and then we do post it on our website. And so to make it, we are a public agency, local public agency. Our headquarters are actually in Monterey Bay. We also have an office in San Luis Obispo. And we are governed under the Brown Act. And so we're very public and very transparent in our communications and conversations. So just want to let you know that we're recording the presentation today. So if you actually want to go back and listen to it again, it will show up on our website. So thanks for joining us. Attendees keep coming in, so I'll wait a moment or two, but I'm actually going to give you our website in the chat box for a moment. All right, we still have attendees continuing to join us. I did drop in the chat box our website. We have lots of information on our website, so please feel free to take a little snip of that so you can actually make sure you can go take a look at some more information. It is about 3 minutes after 4, so I'm going to start in just a moment or two. I want to say welcome to Central Coast Community Energy. My name is Susan Davison. I'm known as a key account specialist, and my focus actually is on the commercial and industrial accounts. We also have joining us today, Jenna Espinoza. She is actually an energy account specialist, and her focus is on the small and medium businesses. And so she touches a lot of local businesses along the Central Coast. We also, for the Q&A session, have Gabe Rees. He's also a key account specialist, and his focus is actually on the agriculture and the floral side of the business. So what's interesting for us is in the Central Coast, about 30% of the customers are actually agricultural businesses. And so quite a bit of ag is occurring in the Central Coast. So thank you for joining us today. Again, one more housekeeping item. If you move your icon around on the screen, at the bottom, you'll see a Q&A button. Click on that, And as we're talking and something comes up that you'd like for us to actually give you an answer on, type it into the Q&A. It will show up on my screen, but nobody else's screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a Q&A session at the end. So you can ask your specific questions. You can ask a general question, and we will actually answer everything that we get asked. And then we actually use this information because all the different businesses, if someone's busy today and they couldn't attend, we created an FAQ, frequently asked question document, and we share that also on our website. And so we want to make sure that everybody actually can get the answers and understand what kind of services we're bringing to the Central Coast. So Jenna, I'm going to hand it off to you for a moment, and then Gabe and I will actually do the Q&A session near the end. So you're up, and I'm going to mute.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I do want to mention, I believe we'll also be joined by Cindy Moore, the Sustainability Coordinator of the City of Goleta, one of our partners in our expansion into Southern Santa Barbara region. So I just want to acknowledge her presence. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to share my screen. Okay, Susan, can you confirm that you're seeing the correct version of my presentation?
I can confirm.
Okay.
I see all your secret notes.
You do not. Okay, great. I don't want to bore you all with all the details. You just get to look at the clean, colorful slides. So thank you all for being here. I am an energy accounts specialist with Central Coast Community Energy. My name is Jenna. Central Coast Community Energy is a locally controlled public agency that sources clean and renewable electricity for the Central Coast. Beginning in October of this year, we will become the primary energy provider for Carpinteria, Goleta, and unincorporated Santa Barbara County. So today we are going to talk about this exciting transition. So today we are going to talk about who we are, why this enrollment is happening, when it will begin, and what your choices are. And at the end, like Susan shared, we've allocated more time than we could possibly use to answer questions. So we are a community choice aggregator, which is an agency that procures power from clean and renewable sources on behalf of communities, such as the County of Santa Barbara, the City of Carpinteria, or Goleta. They want local control over how their electricity is sourced and what prices are set for that electricity. If you have a home or a business in another part of the Central Coast, you may already be working with us, or you may have heard of us under our previous name, which was Monterey Bay Community Power. But since we have expanded beyond the Monterey Bay, we are now called Central Coast Community Energy. Today, I'm also going to talk about how we partner very closely with Southern California Edison and Pacific Gas and Electric, and what you can expect during enrollment. So these are some of our most frequently asked questions. Beginning in October, we will be the ones to procure the energy that Southern California Edison delivers to your home or business. However, your bill is not going to increase. Our generation charges will be lower than the rates the SCE charges. Generally, they will be a subtraction of 2%. You will continue to receive one bill from Southern California Edison because they're going to retain their traditional role around billing, the delivery of the power, and all of the infrastructure and grid management. So you will gain greater visibility into your electricity charges. Currently, your charges are bundled for generation, transmission, distribution. And after enrollment in October, those services will become unbundled, and we will appear nested into your bill with Southern California Edison for your generation charges. So under Central Coast Community Energy, you'll become eligible for our programs and maintain eligibility with Southern California Edison's programs. And I also want to note that you don't have to make any decisions today. You actually have quite some time, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I want to talk a little bit more about what community choice aggregation is. So we are a public agency established under a joint powers agreement with the purpose of sourcing clean and renewable electricity. And the community choice aggregation model enables communities to purchase their own electricity and reinvest revenues into the local community rather than leaving that decision up to the shareholders of investor-owned utilities. So as a CCA and part of a broader movement, we are altering how energy is sourced, transforming the energy sector, and engaging with communities around their needs along the way. CCAs were first approved in 2002 with AB 1117, and the first community choice aggregator was started in Marin County in 2010. They began with 40,000 customers, and now in 2021, 11 years later, there are 23 community choice aggregation agencies in the state of California, and we are serving 11 million customers. So Central Coast Community Energy was formed in 2018, and our commitment is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through local control and the implementation of energy programs that facilitate electrification across transportation sector and the built environments. And we also take the promotion of long-term rate stability and energy security very seriously. So by 2024, 50% of Californians will be served by community choice aggregators. And so this is how it works. Our responsibility is selecting where the energy comes from, and we procure energy that meets the specific clean and renewable energy goals that are set by our regional shared community. And then we in turn rely upon our partnership with Southern California Edison, or in the northern parts of Santa Barbara County, Pacific Gas and Electric, to deliver it through the existing infrastructure to your homes and businesses. So in this model, public agencies have joined together to create purchasing power so that we can source energy from the same energy market that Southern California Edison does. This allows us to source energy that meets clean and renewable energy goals set by our local city and county agencies. It also gives those local agencies increased oversight, control over prices, and the opportunity to direct and inform how we reinvest in the community. And we are not creating duplicate infrastructure. The existing infrastructure continues to be maintained and utilized by Southern California Edison. And because they manage the infrastructure, they are also the agency to continue interfacing with wildfires and determining power safety shutoffs. So in sum, we source the energy and then partner with Southern California Edison in their traditional role around delivering the power, maintaining the infrastructure, and your billing. As an agency, and just jumped ahead a slide, there we go. As an agency, we do serve 33 cities and counties across the Central Coast, starting up in Santa Cruz County all the way down through Santa Barbara County. This does make us the largest CCA in the state of California from a geographic standpoint. And then as far as how much energy we source, I believe that we are the 5th largest in the state. In order to stay connected with all of you, we are actively involved in chambers, farm bureaus, vintners associations, a variety of community-based organizations, so that we are living and working alongside you and very interested in learning what your needs are and how we can serve you best. We are a joint powers authority, which is a board-governed public agency. We are held to the Brown Act, so all of our board meetings are open to the public. At this time, they are live streamed on our website, or you can also participate via Zoom so that you can leave public comment. We are governed by two boards. We have a policy board and an operations board. And so as you can see, I have highlighted the two seats that exist in your region. We have one seat for the County of Santa Barbara, and then another seat that is shared by the cities of Goleta and Carpinteria. The reason that they share a seat at this time is because their populations are less than 50,000. So that seat does rotate between the two agencies. Our policy board is made up of all of the membership agency representatives, such as County Board of Supervisors or City Council members across the entire Central Coast. So in Santa Barbara, you are represented by Supervisor Williams and Councilmember Kyle Richards from the city of Goleta. And then on our operations board, those seats are held by city managers and county administrators. So at this time, the city manager of Carpinteria, Dave Derflinger, serves, and the county executive officer from the County of Santa Barbara also holds a seat, Mona Miasto. We also receive guidance from our Community Advisory Council. That is an advisory council that is represented by people who are involved at a grassroots level in the community, and it gives them official avenue through which to influence our operations. I want to share this very wordy slide with you. It just outlines a bit of our history and how we have come to be here on the Central Coast. We started in March of 2018 as Monterey Bay Community Power with commercial and agricultural customers, and then added in residential customers. And over time, more and more Central Coast community agencies reached out to us seeking participation. So a very monumental moment in December of 2019, our policy board approved the addition of 11 additional cities and communities. So it became evident that we were expanding well beyond the Monterey Bay area at that time. In January of this year, we did begin service with Guadalupe, Santa Maria, Solvang, and Northern Santa Barbara County that is served by PG&E. This fall, we'll be enrolling Carpinteria, Goleta, and Southern Santa Barbara County, which is served by Southern California Edison. And then in January of 2022, we'll be enrolling Buellton. So in sum, we'll be serving over 450,000 residential, commercial, and agricultural customers. And to talk a little bit about the process of how this comes to be, each city or county agency goes through a comprehensive process of public engagement. It is required by law that they provide 2 noticed meetings in which to discuss participation. The first one is when they adopt a resolution and read the ordinance, and the second meeting, they do a second reading of the ordinance. So lots of time for the community to participate and give feedback. And then at that time, we submit an implementation plan to the California Public Utilities Commission, and that is reviewed. And then there is a 1-year waiting period during which we procure energy and then affirm with the California Public Utilities Commission that we have everything secured that we need to properly serve all of you. So this is a little timeline of what you can expect this fall. You have received your first notice in the month of August. We'll be sending out 4 more throughout this fall. The transition will happen in October, and you have 60 days from whatever day your meter is read in October. So if it's read on October 1st, then you have until December 1st to choose if you would rather not participate with us. And there is no fee to disenroll with Central Coast Community Energy during that 60-day window. I do want to note that all of our solar customers will receive the same amount of updates, but those updates will start running in October and your transition will take place in January. So a little bit about how we intend, in addition to sending out all of their mailers, we are doing direct outreach to key groups such as yourself. We're doing regional advertising around traditional radio and news media. And then we have a dedicated call center and have been developing a number of digital resources around our FAQs. This video is being recorded. You can share it with your colleagues. And then we are collaborating directly with city staff to help the community understand that this is a partnership and that we're not a third party for-profit agency, that we are fully integrated with the investor-owned utility, Southern California Edison, and that this is a choice that the local cities and counties have selected for best serving the community. This map just zooms in a little bit on our service area. I do want to point out the orange region is our October enrollment, and there is this little dot right here for the city of Santa Barbara. So, jumping to this slide, the city of Santa Barbara is also going through a similar transition. They will begin a community choice aggregation services in October, same timing as us, but this CCA will be managed by the city of Santa Barbara directly. And I want to share this website with you in case you have a home or a business in the city of Santa Barbara, then you can learn more about their community choice aggregation program. But it will be structured very similarly to what I'm describing to you today. And then just to go back a slide, this is the enrollment that we're doing this fall, 44,000 customers. 6,000 of you, or sorry, about 6,200 of you are commercial accounts. And so very grateful to have you all here today. And then around 250 agricultural accounts will be joining us in the fall. As I mentioned, beginning in January 2022, we will begin enrolling all of our solar customers. Your enrollment will occur in the month that is closest to your annual true-up date with Southern California Edison. If you're on monthly billing with SCE, you'll stay on monthly billing with us. And all other, things should be equal, but we can get into that more if anyone is a solar energy customer and wants to ask more questions. I know that Susan and Gabe are well equipped to assist me with that. Just want to talk about our clean and renewable energy goals. So we are on track to be providing 100% clean and renewable energy by 2030. In fact, we're on track in the next 4 years to serve you with 60% clean and renewable energy, which is 5 years ahead of California's goal. And when we get to that point in 2030 of serving 100% clean and renewable energy, we will be 15 years ahead of the state's goals. When we talk about clean and renewable energy, we are procuring energy through solar, wind, geothermal, small hydro, and biomass. Now, if you want to meet 100% clean and renewable right now, if you've got sustainability goals as an organization, you can opt up to our 3C Prime offering, which is just 0.8 of a cent higher per kilowatt hour. I just did that myself for my home. Feel very excited about that. I didn't have to install any solar panels, so you too could join me in just a couple clicks and be receiving 100% clean and renewable energy. All of our contracts are long-term contracts. You can see that we are sourcing from California. Each contract that we sign, we're trying to get closer and closer to the Central Coast and sign new clean and renewable energy sources so that we can help transform the sector in that way. But all of our contracts are, 15, 20, 30 years long. And these are helping us to meet those energy goals that I was discussing. At this time, we have invested 1.4 billion into long-term renewable energy contracts. A glance at your bill. So as I had stated before, you currently see bundled services on your bill. Starting in October, your services will become unbundled and your generation charges will appear as their own line item. And if you have multiple meters, each one of these will appear on its own page. Each meter will appear on its own page. So it's not a new or additional charge. It's simply just that the services you've been receiving are becoming expanded. One of those services, the generation charges, is going to move out from under Southern California Edison over to Central Coast Community Energy. You'll see our logo right on there, along with our call center hotline number, so you can call us with any assistance that you may need. As a public agency, we do really see ourselves as partners to you, and we are here to provide bill and rate reviews, savings analysis, help with different evaluations, help you discuss any changes you might be facing as an organization, energy choices you may have. We can provide presentations to different stakeholder groups or your board if you want me to bring this presentation to a larger breadth of your organization. I'm very happy to do that. I want to talk a little bit more about how we operate as an agency. We were established in 2018, and these are our core values as an organization: supporting local choice, allowing customers to choose a 100% renewable offering, but also still providing clean and renewable services. We do serve 95% of the customers in our area, and we invest in economic vitality. Our customers have received $50 million in bill reductions since 2018, and we've provided $12 million in rebates and incentives, grant programs. We support you locally. We have 40 full-time employees based here on the Central Coast. We have offices in Monterey, and then dedicated staff to serving you here in San Luis Obispo. And we provide financial stability as an organization. We are the first CCA to receive an A rating from the S&P, which we received last October. And we do allocate a certain percentage of our revenue into our rate stabilization fund, which helps us to provide consistency in our rates that we hand along to you. And then we invest in clean and renewable energy. We've got some new exciting battery storage projects coming online soon. And, you know, looking forward to bringing more and more of those contracts to the Central Coast. Another way that we are reinvesting in the community and keeping our business local is establishing a vendor registry. So for those of you who have a business that may be able to provide services to us here at Central Coast Community Energy, I would love to have you register. We would love to work together, whether you provide marketing or technology security, or if you have a venue where we could have one of our board retreats. We would love to hear from you. We do provide a variety of incentive programs. We have invested in providing chargers for businesses both on the customer side, but also on the back end for fleets. We support fleet purchasing and charging. We also have funding for agricultural customers if they want to electrify their tractor. We have funding available for school buses, and the list goes on and on. Happy to talk about that more if there's a particular area of your business or your home that you would like to electrify. And I do want to share with you our upcoming events. The first one, Energizing Your Business with Central Coast Community Energy. That's where we are right now. We'll be doing this presentation again in November 9th. Of course, I can always do this one-on-one for you. And then we have a very similar presentation, but designed more specifically for residential customers throughout September and November, happening both in Spanish and English. So that concludes my part of the presentation. We do have our email addresses listed up here for you if you want to reach me or Susan or Gabe. Again, Gabe does specialize in agriculture, floral, cannabis, and then Susan is serving all of our industrial customers and other key accounts. So I will leave it here and we can open it up for questions.
All right, Jenna, thank you. All right, so we have a couple of questions. You can either check, if you look in the chat box, I've been dropping some things into the chat box. So you'll see our website and some other information. So scroll down through the chat box and take some snips if you want. Our first question actually is, I'm interested in any incentives or energy programs for multi-unit housing for converting it to all electric or the addition of solar, electric, and water heating. So you and Gabe, would you please address this question for Christian?
Could I ask Gabe to pop in if he is here?
I am. So I was just typing in right now to somebody else's question on the chat. So see, Susan Carter, can you repeat that for me one more time?
Okay. Christian says, I'm interested in incentives for multifamily housing for converting it to all electric and or the addition of solar electric and or water heating. So you want to talk a little bit about our energy programs and our construction, all electric construction?
Yeah, gladly. So with Central Coast Community Energy, I know Jenna went over a few of the programs that we offer, but for this year, we are coming out with a new residential electrification program. So these, as you enroll, these programs are going to become open to you. So one thing that I do want to point out, as enrollment goes through, you guys are paying your bills as part of your payment. Part of that goes into the programs fund for Central Coast Community Energy. So that will become available to you. So we do have electrification programs based around multi-unit dwellings. Whether it's charging stations for each individual port you wanted to look at, or we have electrification. I know that this coming year, we will not have anything around based on like appliances, but that will be something that's going to be coming in the future. But we will have new construction and also not only new construction, but any type of construction projects that are going on that you're looking to convert. So please take a look at the website. I know that Susan just dropped that in the chat, but yes, so we do have construction projects that you can get funding for. It is based around one thing that has changed to the program this coming year. Is going to be it's going to be an income requirement. So affordable housing is how we are going to look at that. So what determines affordable housing? We'll have more information for you on that, but that's where the funds are going to be headed.
All right, Gabe, thank you. I'm gonna step away from that question for a moment and then we'll come back to it in a minute. All right.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on when I was typing into the chat, and the question that was about the 3C choice and if it would prevent somebody from participating in the energy programs with Southern California Edison. None of our programs, none of our energy options are designed in any way to prevent you from participating in other programs with your investor-owned utility. So that you are from our end, you are more than welcome to participate, but I would check with Southern California Edison in regards to that on their end. So just something I wanted to clarify for that question.
And I believe Edison has a green rate program that's a 50% program, and then they also have a 100% program. And so you have a choice of actually picking either one. And then what happens is if you use X amount of kilowatt usage during the month, then 50% of that will be actually renewable. For us, at the current status, where our default rate is 35% renewable, our 3C prime is 100% renewable. But here's where we're going. That when Jenna, if you want to sneak back in the presentation back to that procurement page, power procurement page, as we continue moving towards 100% renewables, part of what's happening is that we're buying in the same market as the IOUs and the utilities, okay? And so, but we're buying long-term contracts, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30-year contracts at very, very cost-effective rates. And so as we're moving as an organization towards our 100% renewable, what's going to happen is you're going to see the shift from 35% continue to increase to 60 to increase to 100. So eventually what will happen as you stay with us is the 3C choice will go away and we will be 100% 3C prime across the board. That's our end goal for us. And so we're, there's both the procurement strategy we're talking about, but we're also thinking about, you hear things about the duck curve and solar and all the things that are happening in the market. And so what you see on this page that Jenna just showed you is a range of projects that are actually, the goal is to actually flatten out the grid a bit so it doesn't move up and down as much. And so, when the sun goes down and solar kind of curls tails and we come home and start to eat dinner and turn on the lights, then energy costs go up. And so our goal is to create a range of products, renewable projects, from geothermal to battery storage to solar. And you're seeing a whole mix on this page so that we flatten out the grid so that it doesn't become an issue anymore. It's not something that we won't have to talk about in the future. And so I do have customers that ask me, Susan, I would like to opt up to the 3C prime. And what's interesting is that's where we're moving as an agency, but we're doing it as a very effective long-term procurement strategy that Jenna talked about. All right, so that was a kind of a long-winded answer for me. My apologies. Gabe, can you talk a minute about EV and the EV chargers and some stuff? Because one gentleman was asking about the EV rate and demand charges. And can you talk a little bit about the EV chargers, the program, what's been happening with Cal EVIP, and all the kind of stuff that we've been focused on for a while?
Yeah, I can talk about with the programs in terms of electric vehicles. So one thing that we have a program right now that is nearly $1 million in funding that goes towards any of our customers who they receive a rebate when they purchase an electric vehicle. Also, part of that is at home charging station, home charging, right? So we can set that up. They can do, the funding goes toward not only the equipment, but also can assist with panel upgrades. So if you have a system that needs to be upgraded, your panel needs to be upgraded in order to have the EV charger, there's funding available for that. So I think that's one of the more crucial to pairing those two together. So I think it's really crucial to pair the EV and the at-home charger. The other thing is the EV program. So our EV program is another piece of funding. And what we've done is we have on our website combined and given the ability for people to see multiple incentives. So not only do you have our incentive on there that we're providing funding towards your purchase of an electric vehicle, but then other programs, other organizations that are out there also have funding towards your purchase. We kind of combining it, bringing that together for you to make it a little bit easier to find. And then in terms of the Cali EVIP program, so that's a program that we had this past year or last year in Monterey County, San Benito, and Santa Cruz counties. And the funding for that comes from us. And what we've done in the past with that is we've had a match from other agencies and organizations throughout the state. And we're actually able to, they expect you to put some skin in the game. So what we do is we put $1 million into the program. Because we have that $1 million in, we're getting $6 million back. So $7 million to go towards electric commercial chargers, right? Open to public facing charging stations. I know we just went through that in the San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties. That was open, that funding was available. And the funding for that, I would say, I think for the DC fast chargers, that went within a day. And then for the level 2 charger funding, I know that's already gone. I think that was gone in about a month. So people in your community, in your county, in your area are taking advantage of these programs.
Gabe, and I'll add a little bit onto that to talk about and say that when the Cal EVI charger, which is for charging stations that, like for public use and not in an apartment building or not behind the locked doors, that Cal EVI approved program was a partnership with agencies across the Central Coast, including some firms down in San Diego and some up north. And the goal was to actually make sure that that program had a really big coverage. And so what happened is if you were actually in Ventura, had a business in Ventura and were buying a charger, you could still access the money because we made it all a state program. And if you're in Santa Barbara, you could access the money, and we helped out of that bucket. And if you were up north in Monterey, you could access it. So it was a very robust program that allows you to kind of pull resources depending on where you are in the state of California. So it's not just we actually act regionally and think regionally rather than locally. Although we do call ourselves a local agency because our goal is for our revenue to come back into the local community and for our energy programs to come back into the local communities. Gabe, can you answer, you and Jenna?
I have a couple of questions.
Oh, go for it. Okay, so here's one. So if I'm enrolled in 3C Choice, are you saying that it will not interfere if I want to choose an alternative renewable energy choice program? And so can you talk a little bit about solar and then a little bit about another program? So like if I wanted to use another green program, talk about that too.
Yeah, let's see. And if I recall, that's from one of the previous questions, but I think that, if you're talking about the program that you are participating in or want to participate in with Southern California Edison, a different program that's outside of Central Coast Community Energy, again, none of our rate options, none of our programs are going to restrict you from participating in that. You would just need to check with them just to see at what level you can participate. It's really their decision. Obviously, we have no say in that. And then I guess with when the second question was our relationship with solar, Susan?
Yes, please expand on solar. Let's say I wanted to put solar on my apartment, on my house.
Yeah. So what we do to help support that is we have a net surplus compensation. What we do basically is that we can actually purchase any surplus that your system provides and pay you for that at the end of the year. At your annual true update. So I know that's, in terms of solar programs, I mean, we do a lot with, we're looking at residential battery storage options. These are things that we're focusing on for the future, but I really believe that, in terms of solar, we just kind of, what we do is we give a better, quicker ROI, right? So we have a higher, at least I would have to look into what Edison's is, but I know for PG&E, we have a higher rate for net surplus compensation, which basically means we pay more to you for your excess energy.
So, and if I had a solar system on my house, then would anything be different on my bill? Or, it's like if I'm being served by you, now I'm going to be in the city of Carpinteria and I'm going to be served by you and I have a solar system and I actually overproduce, then it'll show up on my bill and I'll get the net surplus compensation.
Yes. I mean, at the end of the year, the true up, you will receive whatever you have not used throughout the 12-month period, you will receive the net surplus compensation. And
if I have a house and I have solar on my house and I don't generate everything that I use, then what happens come next year? If I'm going to be served by Central Coast come this year, come October, and you start showing up on my bill. And so, but because it's a NEM customer, we're not going to start servicing NEM customers until January. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so technically I'll still be served by Edison for November and December. And then come January is when everything starts with Central Coast and everything is seamless and my solar system stays the same and I see the same stuff on my bill. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. That is correct. And that kind of ties into another question here. What is the enrollment window for 3CE? And so the enrollment window is just as Jenna had showed on the slide. So we basically started that in August, September. The meters are gonna transition during October, and then that enrollment window is good through December. So that's kind of the entire enrollment window in terms of notifications. So you can make your choice without having to pay those fees there within that enrollment window. And another question, is it possible to enroll outside of the enrollment window? It is, if you decide, I would say, this is what we always suggest to people is just, take a look at your first bill or two. If you're comfortable with what you see, if you have questions, please call our call center. Also, we have Susan, myself, or Jenna that can assist you as well. And we can help you take a better look at that and making sure that you have the information that you need before you need to, make another choice.
All right, so I had a gentleman ask, is a commercial customer eligible for battery storage system? Okay. And so I'm going to answer that a bit. I'm going to say, first of all, it's to all of our benefit if all of us have more renewable resources. So if you as a business or home decide to put batteries in and or solar, we support that. Okay. And we actually work cohesively with you on that. Sometimes we do have solar customers that say, no, you don't make change. And we actually want to be very transparent, and we want to make sure that it all works very smoothly for you. And so that's part of our goal. That's part of actually this presentation also. We actually currently do not actually pay to put solar on your house. That's not part of our business model right now. And we currently don't have battery storage as part of our business model right now. But here's what's interesting. We have an energy programs team that is individuals is created from individuals across the state. And as Jenna talked earlier about how our boards are put together, the boards are bringing in conversations from the local communities about what the communities need. Like one of the conversations was about resilience. Another conversation was about predictability. As a business, can you keep my rates stable? We use and collect that information, and we use that to actually help us set rates. We also use it to help us set programs. And so here's a good example. When we had created an EV charging program where you could get an EV and put it in your garage, what we realized is there's an awful lot of homes built in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s that don't have EV plugs in the garage. So we added into that program to be able to upgrade your panel and also to put in the charger in your garage. So it was a dually mixed program where you could pick one from one piece and one from another piece so that you actually could get that charger in your garage. That was a result of some customers saying to us, well, Susan, this is great. I really want to have an EV, but I can't afford the money to upgrade my panel. And so we listened. And like I said, our team we do, especially like at events like this, where you're asking us questions, we pay attention to what's necessary and what's requested at the community level so that our actually board members then can push on that behalf. And we can actually then turn around and craft and create programs that make sense. What's interesting is Gabe, who's talking with us and sharing with us on this conversation, his focus is the agricultural world. And you'll see that we actually have an agricultural electrification program, but it's not just tractors. Gabe, do you want to talk about, this is not really a business conversation, commercial business conversation, but do you talk about the agriculture program that was created for a portion of our customers?
Yeah, our ag electrification program is really to, I think, more than anything, drive adoption of all electric equipment, all electric vehicles, ATVs, UTVs, tractors, water pumps, forklifts, a variety of things. And that honestly, the options are growing every year of what you're actually able to switch to all electric. And we provide anywhere from 80% of the total cost or up to $20,000, whichever comes first. So it has been a very, I would say, well thought out program and open to a lot of different ideas when it comes to that industry, as are all of our programs. We want to make sure that there's opportunity for different types of projects, different types of specialties in the industry. So it's something that I feel we put a lot of funding into, and going forward, this is a program that also we're going to expect more funding, because we need to know what your interests are, right? We need to know what you guys, as our customers, as the community, need from us and in those programs. So with the ag electrification, we're oversubscribed every year. So that will, hopefully continue to see, a significant amount of funding. And then I'm just going to shift here real quick, Susan, because I know we're kind of running on time, and there's a couple questions in here. So if we don't enroll now, can we enroll at a later date? Yes. Is there a cost to enroll at a later date? We have a re-enrollment period, which we can re-enroll you at no cost. And then also, once enrolled in 3CE, how long does the enrollment last? You will continue to be enrolled year after year. So the program is always available to customers. Even if you were to move, the program would still be available to you as long as you're in our service area.
I want to actually add on top of that. So I'm going to give an example. When we did our enrollment in January in the Slow County, we had a customer who got enrolled with us it turned out that they actually had a special rate called an economic development rate, which is, and they're in a low-income community. And that economic development rate is because they're giving back and they're keeping their business in that community and hiring from the community. And it's called an EDR. And it's not a common rate, but what happens is that customer was starting to be served by us, and we don't have the EDR rate. Okay. And so what happened is one of the things that we did is we actually took that customer and sent him back to PG&E on purpose, because the customer saved more money under that rate. But what's interesting is that customer remembers that we were transparent and we worked our darndest to make sure that he could get the best savings for his business. And what he said to us is, Susan, this EDR rate is only for a period of time. It's only good for about another year. And he said, I'm coming back to you guys to be served because you actually paid attention. You looked at this and you made sure that what was best for my business was actually how this handled. So when we get asked questions about enrollment and how do we make these choices, we're here to have conversations. All right. That's part of the reason why we're doing this presentation, is to actually understand, what are your needs, and be able to facilitate that. So thank you for that. Jen, do you want to add anything to that?
I believe I mentioned it, but I just want to state that our rates will be -2% from Southern California Edison's rates.
Thanks, Jenna. Yeah, that's the next question here is, 3C Choice, will it provide ag customers with 35% renewable energy, and will provide a 2% discount on energy generation cost per kilowatt hour? So the answer to those are yes. So our energy right now, our choice option is a 35% renewable option to all of our customers. And that's the slide that Jenna had shown, that by 2025, we want to be at 60%. And by 2030, we want to be 100%. So we do have the 100% prime option right now for 100% renewable energy. But to answer your question, yes, 35% renewables come from our choice option. And then looking at the 2% discount, what we do, current model is that we look at the generation rates, apply 2% discount to that rate, all the different rate classes. And then that is the generation rate that you receive.
I'm actually going to tell a story too. We still have a tiny bit of time, so I'm going to tell another story on that. Last year, we had set rates. We were at that point in time, we were specifically in PG&E territory, and then COVID hit. And we saw the stress across our communities because of the pandemic that was occurring. And so earlier, Jenna had talked about the rate stabilization fund. Okay. And so that rate stabilization fund is there to be used for the communities. And so what happened is in the months of May and June of last year, all of our customers, not just the residential or the commercial, all of our customers got a 50% discount on their generation, on their bills for the month of May and June. That's what the board voted as a public agency. They voted to use those funds to stabilize the rates for the time period so that actually our customers could have a little bit of breathing room for those months. And so that's an excellent example of how we think as a regional but a local agency about the revenues and the things that, the energy that we source and give to and put in the community wires. That's how we think about how does that come back into the community. So it's an excellent example of our longer term regional thinking. All right, we still have a half an hour, but I think everybody might want to sneak out at 5 o'clock. We got 5 minutes to 5. And we'll be happily stay here if you want to ask more questions. So, all right, it's question time. Anybody other questions you guys want to ask us? Feel free.
There's one question just popped into the Q&A.
Oh.
When a customer enrolls in 3C Prime, how long will it take for the enrollment to become active? Best answer I could give it is I would expect by the next bill period, you would be on 3C Prime. We put the request in, it happens very quickly, but I would expect by the next billing period, without concern, you would be 3C Prime would be reflected on your bill.
I do think if someone was to make that election now, then in October it would be in place.
Correct. Yes.
Since we have enough lead time at this time.
Exactly. Yes. Anybody who were to do that now would absolutely get that on their October bill.
And we want to celebrate those customers that think about being 3C Prime. That's a yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Any more questions? So we had, I think you answered that one, Gabe, was about, let's see, how long will it take? Okay. I think we've kind of hit the, oh, wait a minute. Are we different than CPA? Oh, here we go. Are we different than CPA in Ventura? The answer is yes and no. So CPA is the CCA, Community Choice Agency, that's in Ventura and Los Angeles counties. They have a huge territory. They're a CCA like us. They procure like us. They actually are in Edison territory, 100% in Edison territory. And so the answer is yes, we actually are a CCA like them. We are unique in some ways because of the things that we're doing, like the conversation I said earlier about the 50% discount and COVID discount in May and June of last year. We were the first CCA in the state to do that. We also didn't ask for the money back. And so what's happening is in this time of pressure, there's utilities, everybody kind of wants, to collect their money. We didn't ask for that money. That rate stabilization was built to come back into the community. And so those discounts showed up on the bills and we kept moving and we rebuilding that rate fund. And so, yes, we are like other CCAs in the state of California. We do have conversations. There's a monthly meeting that we all have conversations about different topics. And so they, we do learn about who's doing what so we can actually get better what we do. And then the customer said that it cost him a little bit because of him being in Ventura. And so I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to acknowledge that part of the goal of being a CCA is you work with a utility and it's a IOU, then a discount off of that. And so you have to be nimble. We are a very nimble, small organization that pays attention to these kinds of things because we have quite a few large customers. And so we pay attention that we have to make these moves very quickly. It's difficult for us as an organization to to communicate that. And so we do our darndest, okay, to actually send out information, make sure there's a flyer in the information. We have the call center that you can reach out to. We share our email information with you. We have the Monterey and the San Luis office. And so our goal is actually to be a CCA that you feel like we're listening and we're here to serve you. All right, any other questions? We snuck up, that was like a 4-minute conversation. We snuck up almost to 5 o'clock.
And I will say there is just a few handful of large commercial customers who we did reach out to directly to say, you know, your rates here versus at Southern California Edison, let's have an in-depth conversation. And I know that that's something that some of the commercial customers down in Ventura County wish had been available to them when they were first, you know, being incorporated into the CCA, but all of our rate analysis shows that that is just a few handful of our customers who need to have that in-depth conversation. Everyone on this call today, since you haven't heard from us, you will be served with the IOU minus 2% rate.
All right, we kind of crossed the gamut in conversation, everything from battery storage to renewables to how can I opt up, and great questions. All right, we still have people, there are a few people that still have attending. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to say thank you for the day.
We got a
Jen,
couple
would you-
here. Susan,
okay,
we
here
got
we
two
go.
more-
We
or
got
one
more.
more here. I'm typing one right now, and then I have one in the chat that I'll answer live. But in multi-family housing where the apartments have their own meters, can we set the default to prime and they have a choice of a 3C choice? So I mean, it really depends on the rate payer themselves, right? So that's going to be their choice. So if whoever is paying the bill, paying the invoice, if they want to switch to 3C prime, they absolutely are welcome to. We encourage it. But besides that, they're always going to be defaulted to the 3C choice option. We can't, we can't force anybody into taking prime.
And following up on that is in an apartment complex, if the individual unit pays the meter and has the meter in their name, then they get to make the choice. There are CCAs, I know specifically of like one down in San Diego, who chose to actually make their default the renewable. And so they are actually more expensive than the local utility down in San Diego County, because their goal was to actually be more renewable across the board. The customers can actually opt down out of that if they wish to, but every one of their customers defaulted into the renewable. Our default is actually the 35% with the ability at any point in time to opt up to the 3C prime.
One more here. So for commercial property with solar, and so you see, can our commercial property with solar enroll, and how do you apply? So again, this is something that if you choose not to participate, because again, this is a program that is overseen by your elected officials. Also, it's a beneficial program to your community where it's reinvestment back into your community. So if you were to choose, no need to apply, right? This transition is going to happen in October. If you have any questions around that, I would recommend everybody, reaching out to us. We can go into more explanation on that. But we have the call center as well that can answer all those questions for you. And then as a solar customer, I mean, we serve thousands of solar customers in our current service area. So many service called large residential solar and large commercial on top of a processing facility solar as well.
And it's interesting. I'm going to talk about that for just a moment. We're a little bit over time here, but no, we're not really over time. We're over 5 o'clock. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that for a moment. multifamily buildings usually have individual units, and then they also have common areas. And so depending on, how that apartment or that multifamily is set up, there's often a, portion or a meter that addresses the common areas, and then there's a meter that addresses all the units. And so, having a conversation with whoever's putting solar in your building to figure out who pays what and how do you tie it together well is very, very important. But I actually want to share what's really another interesting piece that was done a couple of years ago. Down in Orange County, there was a very robust study done on apartments that found that individuals actually, so there were two apartment complexes across from each other. One of them was very, very green, very renewable, had done a bunch of built, very energy efficient, had solar on it and such. And then the one across the street did not. Two different owners, two different developers. The units that actually were more renewable had longer tenancy, longer, quicker uptake on the rentals. And even though they kept their rentals the same as the unit across the street, people didn't want to move out because they were getting more benefit for their rental dollar in that building. And so it was a very interesting story because we heard a lot of pushback from developers saying it costs too much, it won't do this and that. And what happened is that studies showed that renters really pay attention to how much it costs them. So just like a business, how much does it cost me to actually pay my bills? How much does it cost me to stay in business, to do my services? And so it was a really nice report that showcased that a more efficient, more renewable apartment building actually will save you money in the long term because of they stay longer and they don't, and it's easier to rent. You get a quicker rental period. And so that kind of turned us on our head a little bit. So that was actually one of the things that I thought was fascinating and kept pushing me into this industry. All right. So Ben has said he missed, we have a gentleman who looks like he joined us a little bit late. Jenna, can you snip to the page before so it shows our emails again? And so Ben, if you're still here on the call with us, would you please take a look at the emails? And depending on it, if you're small or medium business, you want to reach out to Jenna. If you're a big business, you want to reach out to me, Susan. And if you happen to be in the ag or floral or cannabis world, then you reach out to Gabe. So snag our email addresses, or you can actually reach out to the call center too. They're really well, we have meetings with them every week. We have to help them answer their questions. And so you can reach out to the call center too if you wish. So thanks for joining us. All right,
Yeah.
Any more questions, or do I get to actually close us down?
Yeah, Susan, I dropped the YouTube link to our YouTube channel in there as well, because I know this will be posted on there in the next
All
few
right,
days.
so for those of you that are still with us, please actually scroll through the chat and take snips, okay? And we appreciate you taking the time with us today. We really look forward to serving you. Jenna, thank you for all your information and actually a very robust presentation, and she's part of the local community. So Jenna's been around in Central Coast for quite